All right, so everybody, welcome to the first Latinos in Clinical Research meetup. My name is Dan Sfera. We've got people entering right now, more people. So we've
Sí,
got Ashley Margot, we've got
pero no es de trabajo.
we've got Monica Quitiva, and then we've got everybody. This is open to all ethnicities, first of all, but the themes are going to be around Latinos in research because there's a huge need for this. There's a huge need. I believe there's a trickle down effect. First of all, it starts with building a community for the Latinos currently working in the industry. And hopefully, by fostering this community, we can get more Latinos to work in the industry. And then hopefully, if we can do that and cultivate that, we can get Latinos to participate in clinical trials, which is going to help everybody in the industry, and it's going to help the industry in general too. So that's the purpose of these. That's the purpose of Latinos in clinical research. Why we exist. We want to provide content. This one is going to be just like a founders. We're going to give you the introduction to why we got started, the mission, the values, what we think we're going to bring to the table, what you guys would want to get out of this as well. And I'll pass it over to Ashley Margot, who's very well prepared, by the way, for this Latinos in Research meetup. And take it away, Ashley.
Well, hi, thank you so much, Dan. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. And as Dan said, there's just so many reasons as to why we wanted to create the Latinos in Clinical Research. And so any and all involvement with all ethnicities is helpful in moving this purpose and mission forward. And so I guess I'd like to start with pretty much just saying, our mission, right? So let me go ahead and get that up. So our mission is bringing awareness and opportunities to Latinos about clinical research while providing a bridge to increase opportunities, education, global networking platform, while including vendor, sponsor, CRO exposure, and collaboration for clinical research professionals. This is very important, obviously, because not just getting exposure, networking, but working together as a whole to focus in on the issues and ultimately guiding everyone to one vision and creating solutions to boundaries or barriers that we have. So if Judy, you want to touch on the vision.
So our vision is to unite the diversity in all areas of clinical research. We want to bring awareness and guidance in the Latino community as a forefront discussion in clinical research. And the reason we want to do that, I think we all have different backgrounds and experiences, but me personally, I work in a large Hispanic community. I've encountered a lot of barriers with the current studies we have with recruiting, just everything that we do day to day. And we've been around for 13 years. It's got a lot better, but there's just a bunch of barriers. So I think I struggle to find a lot of information that could be helpful for my site, specifically to help me recruit or other things. I have to Google, and there's just nowhere to go where I just can find all the answers. So we kind of want to create something that maybe we can provide more resources to other sites like myself, other professionals, just somewhere of a place to go, because there's really nothing out there that I can think of that I know of yet. So that's pretty much our vision, and we're definitely open, as you will see later, to any feedback on what you want to see and how we can achieve that vision moving forward.
Great. And Monica, if you want to touch a bit on our purpose.
Yeah, Monica next. Monica, I see two of you. That's so important what you're going to announce. There's two of you.
I wasn't able to hear anything because I'm not a very tech person. So, hi, everybody. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Ashley and Judy, for the introduction. I would like to start also by welcoming everybody to this first ever Latinos in Clinical Research meeting. And I'm going to give a brief about myself. My name is Monica Quitiva, and I am extremely passionate about the clinical research industry, as well fascinated about education. I feel both passionate and fascinated about these two topics because of the massive impact they generate in the world. Clinical research and education have in common that both improve communities and people's quality of life. And as part of this contribution, that's why we created this Latinos in Clinical Research organization, because we want to give more to the community. We want to contribute in a bigger spectrum to the whole industry, because we know the power that we could be having by joining and creating a community that work together to make this happen. We know that there are many imparities in healthcare, and one of those is the lack of diversity. So that's why this organization is so important. And I think that's mainly what is driving us to work towards this purpose. And obviously the contribution of all the people that work in clinical trials, in clinical research, even if you are Latino or not, together we make that diversity, right? And that's I hear Will Smith mentioning before that the superpower that United States has is diversity. So that could be our superpower too, and we can work together on making this a better world. I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but it's the truth. It could be our contribution to society.
Exactly. Thank you so much for that, Monica. And I actually I agree 100%. I feel like, bringing all ethnicities together to on this specific topic, or what I would call somewhat of an issue, because, there's a lot of barriers and things that I feel that us as an organization focus in on and possibly even create solutions for, nationwide. And so I feel that having all ethnicities involved would help not only, focus in and hone in on issues of what us as workers at the site, sponsor CRO, as Latinos see, as well as our family members, our friends, our community that they experience while at the site, but also communicating with other ethnicities and what they see on their end, and how we can get together and kind of hone in and create those solutions. So I agree wholeheartedly to that.
And the great thing is, even though that we have many different languages like Spanish, English, Romanian, German, at the end of the day, when we come together to this in this community, we all speak the same language.
Yes.
We all speak clinical research, and we all have the same purpose, which is making the healthcare industry better, and just balance that disparity that we currently have.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think because we all come from different backgrounds, we're in different communities, different cities, even different states, we all bring something different to the table that we can share our experiences. Something that worked for me might work for another site somewhere else. Something that worked for them could work for us, vice versa, because all the things that we do in research, it does vary depending what community you're in, what research center, where you're located. So the more we can collaborate, I think the easier it can be for all of us.
Yes, and just to kind of touch in on what Judy just said, just because I've also had multiple people reach out that were outside of clinical research, that were in public health, that were in hospitals, we all ultimately kind of come together, kind of deal with the same things, somehow end up touching a bit, especially within the public health and the clinical industry. We all end up touching a bit of, research. And I feel that it's important that we let, our coworkers know, our friends know, our families know, because ultimately we all have, a way of creating or having some sort of touch on this. And, the more diversity we have within careers join in, the more universal span we have a view on this, a bird's eye view. And I think that that's going to contribute greatly as to how we can hone in and create these solutions and discuss openly on different viewpoints and things like that. So please do what you can to spread the word. It's really important that we get out there in the community and make this organization aware to everybody.
And then the other thing that I would like to mention is that just to piggyback on what Ashley just mentioned, by having different professionals in different areas, we can also contribute by giving services, because this community, at the end of the day, we're going to be networking too. And it's going to be a win-win situation, just because we can offer our services to the community, and at the same time, the community is going to get benefit out of it. So when I say this is, for example, if somebody that their job is to translate documents or to be a translator in any way, we can create like a directory in which we can have all these professionals that offer their services, and then provide it to CROs, or maybe a clinic that needs a translation of anything, somebody that specializes in marketing, and we can work together to get, for example, some advertisement, IRB approved. I mean, we can do so much together that is just incredible. How that's why it's so important. That's why communities are so important in the world.
Exactly. Help us help you to, figure easier ways around, your situation, your job, helping your subjects, your patients, because ultimately that's what we'd like to be here for, to provide bridges into solutions and making things better and, just more beneficial all around for everybody. And so, just spread the word, please share. And that kind of goes into, our next topic, which is what do we already have, and how can, more specifically, how can you help? And so, from this, we can go through, you all as our members of the organization, go out and share, our videos, what we want to do for the future, our podcasts. Please go and subscribe to our webpage, go to our LinkedIn page, and share all the updates that we have. Make sure that your coworkers are involved. Monica, Judy, do you feel like you have any other, ideas as to how they can get involved and be helped?
So I think you guys mentioned it all, but definitely give us feedback on things that you want to see. I have a background. I don't think we skipped the intro. I didn't do my intro, so maybe I should do it right now. So I'm a site director / co-owner of a research center in Imperial County for the past 13 years, but I've been in clinical research for 16 years. I started with sleep disorders. I worked in San Diego County, which was a lot easier to recruit patients. Now I'm in Imperial County, which is a lot more difficult to recruit patients. It's a large Hispanic patient population. Many are bilingual, many are Spanish speaking. We do enroll both languages in most of our studies. I've encountered a lot of things, specifically, for example, the translation services. Usually it was just the IRB that we relied on to translate documents. Sometimes the sponsors didn't want to allow that. It was a big mess. I actually recently found a company that actually does translation services and focuses on recruiting in Hispanic patient communities. So we're using them. The person that runs the agency is a certified translator. So I can go to him, ask him to create a flyer for me, translate it, give me a certified translated document, and I can submit that to the sponsor and IRB. And I kind of bypass that whole trying to go in circles, trying to figure out if the IRB and sponsor are going to do it. So that's one of my hurdles. The other hurdles is what type of recruitment works in my community. Social media only works a little bit. It's a combination of community outreach, actually having people out in the community, going to events, going to doctor offices, going to, face-to-face, giving out flyers, because only so many people do respond to social media. That necessarily isn't always needed in other communities. Sometimes social media works 100%. No central recruitment campaigns work in my area. We have tried so many by the sponsors. They always want to go with whoever they hired, and they don't work. It's a waste of money, and this is the argument I continue to have with sponsors. So things like that are things I encounter. I'm sure a lot of other sites encounter that. I hopefully give my feedback or help change something to make better for my site and other sites, because it's a lot of time and effort with all these barriers that push us back when it comes to recruiting, to trying to enroll patients, when I have to jump through all these hoops that a lot of other sites don't have to jump through, and it shouldn't be that difficult. So if anything I can do to help, and same thing, any feedback you guys have, if there's companies out there, like I literally do Google searches to find like certain things in my community or surrounding areas, because I don't know exactly what's out there that certain things I need for my community when we're working on research studies. But I think with having more people part of this group, I can reach out to you guys and be like, hey, I'm looking for this, or I need this. Do you know anybody? And hopefully, I think that's what I can provide, being a site owner.
That's a lot to unpack with what you just said, Judy. But no, thank you for that, though. You said something interesting in the beginning. I was going to interrupt, but I didn't want to interrupt because there's more
It's
actually
okay.
from what you said.
There's
You
a
said
lot
it
more.
was there's a lot more. We got nothing but time, guys. We've got these meetings every month. Um, you said it was harder or easier to enroll in San Diego than where you currently
Oh
are,
yeah.
which is a rural place. Is that
Yeah.
because you were not enrolling Latinos there? You were basically just
No.
enrolling.
So actually, yeah, that's correct. So I can compare San Diego and Imperial County because, I worked in both areas. San Diego it is a diverse city, but most of the patients we recruited, very few were minority patients. Compared to Imperial County, it's actually the opposite. We recruit more minorities actually minorities, I would say more Hispanics than anything else in Imperial County. So it's complete the opposite, but just the outreach advertising methods are like completely different than what works in San Diego. You can post an ad on Craigslist and probably get a ton of referrals for a study. I remember doing that for sleep disorders. I can't do that in Imperial County. Hardly nobody looks at Craigslist.
Really?
Hardly nobody. Like there's certain things that people just don't like. Uber and Lyft is pretty new in Imperial County. Not everybody. So things like that work in San Diego don't always work in Imperial County.
I gotcha. Okay, so and basically you said something else interesting. You said you were looking in your area for services specifically dedicated towards services to help Latinos get more involved in research. And I think we're going to discover throughout the course of doing these Zoom meetings potential business opportunities for people. I mean, if there's any entrepreneurs out there watching,
Mm-hmm.
these are recorded too, and we're going to have a podcast, Latinos in Clinical Research podcast. So anybody watching or listening, you're going to come across business opportunities. What do you guys think about this? I mean, this is what we're going to be discussing. We're basically uncovering problems, how to improve diversity in research by getting more Latinos involved, more minorities involved. I think it starts grassroots, like you said. I think we need more minorities to be working in research. I think that helps get more patients in research. When more minorities are working at a clinic, the minority patients are more likely to want to enroll in a study as opposed to the other way around, right? So I think it starts with the ones already in the industry, like the people here who are subscribed to our mail list, to our podcast. But then we need you guys to go out there and get, fresh blood, bring in fresh blood. All ethnicities, really. I mean, Latinos, African Americans. There's another group, they're doing a really good job, Black Women in Research with Danielle Coe. Same strategy. Let's help the Latinos that are working in the industry. Let's give them a platform. Let's give them networking opportunities. And then let's get other people involved. And then this will trickle down to the patients. And like Judy said, vendors, service providers, because that's all going to help too.
And I guess the other thing to add to that on the other side is how do we educate the Latinos or minority patient population to participate in clinical trials? I think there's been more of a push for that the past year, and there's a few things out there, but I don't think there's a lot out there. Like we need to do more. So what should we do? What could be out there that we can help like patients in my community? Because like I said, I've been here 13 years. I'm still having to educate people in my community every day about clinical trials.
I think what we have in our benefit is that we speak the same language too, like with this kind of communities. So we can, and like I was mentioning, I think one of the main things that we should be doing is education, maybe through these videos and also podcast and spreading the word everywhere, really. And I think once people see the same when they see somebody from the same community, they just that creates trust, and that's part of our responsibility as professionals working in this industry. So I think that's another part, as everybody has mentioned, that we should be spreading the word, sharing the videos, reposting, and letting everybody know about this organization, so we can make it bigger, we can make it stronger, and our voice is going to be louder.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much. All right. So I guess going into where we kind of left off and where Monica was just touching on again, if y'all can, just kind of focus in on what are things that they, the members should be doing first off, and how they're supposed to be, notifying their coworkers, their friends, their family, how to be involved with the organization and how to keep up with our projects that we'll be doing in the future.
Well, I think one of the most powerful things we can accomplish as a group is to affect change to some level, even if it's helping one person's career. For example, I know so many coordinators, and I don't know if it's just me, but I know a lot of Latino coordinators, and I don't know that many Latino CRAs. And I don't know why that's the case. It's just something I've noted, literally something I just thought of right now as we're talking. I think that it's certainly not from a lack of interest from the coordinators out there. So I think there's got to be a way that we can help some people's career trajectories out of this group. I mean, we all who work in the industry, we know people, we all know that people get hired a lot of the times based on who they know. So I think that's one of the most powerful things we can do is actually affect change, even at the individual level, just starting with one person at a time.
Exactly. We actually have one CRA here, Jacqueline
Yeah.
Alim. Sorry if I mispronounced it, but yes, she's a Latina CRA. So potential interview, Dan, right?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And you.
Yeah.
And Ashley,
Yes.
yourself. I mean, are there like maybe I haven't been paying attention, but are there Latino and Latina CRAs or
Well,
not?
to,
Because there's a lot of coordinator.
yeah, there's definitely a lot of coordinators. Like from my, well, I didn't give my intro, and I'm sorry about that. So, my name is Ashley Margo. I currently in Austin, Texas. I'm originally from the Rio Grande Valley, very South Texas. So I have about 10 years, a little over 10 years of clinical industry experience, and some of that being into research. Throughout that time frame, I've been exposed to, clinical research coordinators, some CRAs, and multiple physicians that were also dabbling with their private industry, with their private site in clinical research. And so, speaking to what Dan had said, yeah, I've seen a lot of Latino CRCs, but only just a small handful of CRAs. And to be quite honest, that actually only started happening until I came to Austin. And I've only, out of the multiple that I've met and talked to, I think there's only about 3 that I know. So that is kind of interesting. I hadn't thought about that at all. So, definitely something we want to touch in on, and maybe even kind of get some stats on that if we can to
We
kind of
should.
make that.
We should. And I
Yeah.
think it's actually related to uh, Judy's issues that she brought up, like when it comes to, I guess, making it more accessible for study opportunities for Latinos. I'm talking about patients. That's only going to come from the sponsor. They're called sponsor for a reason. They're paying for the study. Like the sites can give them suggestions, which Judy's probably done till she's blue in the face, but really the change is going to come from them. And I think the more Latinos we get involved, as close to the sponsor level as you can get, the more that's going to accomplish for the patients and making studies more accessible for patients. So if we can play, like if this group and all of you guys can play even a small role in this, that's making huge that's going to make huge improvements in the industry, even from just some small changes. Like it's just a matter of getting a few people. It starts with getting the CRCs to become CRAs. It's not that they don't want to. They message me on Instagram and LinkedIn almost every day. How do I become a CRA? So CRAs then become what? They become lead CRAs who then become consultants for sponsors. I mean, that's how the career trajectories go in this industry. And it's more about who you know. And until we get more Latinos, I think at the sponsor side, we're not going to really see these changes. We might see lip service being done, but nothing real, unfortunately. So if we can play a part in that, I'd be happy. And I'm sure that the industry would also be happy as well.
Yeah, and to touch on what you just said, Dan, coming from a rural area, I actually didn't know, having had some research background, even some public health exposure, I had no idea how many, roles and levels of roles there were in clinical research. I didn't know until I moved to the city. And even at that, it took a while of researching before, uh, knowing this. So I definitely feel that it has a lot to do, again, with what you said, who you know, resources, education, formal education, as to how far you can take it, your role and where the advancements are, what kind of education or certs you need to take in order to get that level of advancement, to be able to jump into a CRO or to a sponsor level, and what that type of job would entail. And as for my background, that I do help people with their job application process into clinical research, I feel like that's something I would personally like to also bring to this organization, because there's just so many routes and routes that you can take that could really just very quickly maneuver you into the right place at the right time within a short period of time, so long as you know where it is that you need to go and what you need to do. And that's also why I think your organization, the CRC Academy and the CRA Academy, and your podcasts are so helpful, and why I'm very excited about this organization, because I feel we're going to touch on so many important topics that everybody, not just in the cities, CROs and sponsors, but even students that come across this, that came from like a STEM background from schooling, that biology background, we're going to be able to provide, us along with all the members coming together and providing this very valuable information. We're going to help kind of push forward the new generation of research, right? And I feel like our impact right now, just us being here right now, is just a small glimpse as to how big of a move it's going to make for the next incoming generation. And it's our job as Latinos and as ethnicities that come together, that care about, where we're taking this knowledge, what it's going to bring, and so I feel very, very strong about what we're doing here today and what we'll continue to be doing, and really excited that everyone's
Actually,
here.
so that leads, I know, because I looked at your agenda yesterday. It was very good, by the way. I know it's coming up, this thing about mentoring, current students, like college students, even high school students. And I got to give a shout out to Black women in clinical research, because they're doing this pretty well. They're in the communities, in the colleges, in the universities, even in the high schools. They had plans of going in there, educating them about clinical research, about careers in clinical research. I'm just reading the comments. Joe says, education and career pathway, professional groups to join, networking, key groups to join. George says, I think more training activities for healthcare professionals. Most of them are only dedicated to assistance care, not research. Very true.
Exactly.
And also somebody said, and even less Latinos in trial master file than CRAs. So yeah, look, I see a lot of coordinators. I mean, I see you, Carlos. How's it going? There's a Latino coordinator right there. And he actually had, if Carlos wants to talk, he can talk. He had aspirations to be a CRA, but now he's changing his mind. I don't know why, but Carlos, we need more Latino CRAs.
For sure.
But I know that's
I
coming up
definitely,
actually with education.
yeah, I definitely agree what you mentioned, because I think like a lot of us, we kind of stumbled into this profession. When I was in college, I responded to a Craigslist ad for a very part-time research assistant position for a sleep disorders company. I didn't know what it was about. I responded, I got an interview, and I had to go in a few hours a week, just taking vital signs, doing questionnaires on the patients that were spending the night in the sleep lab. Pretty easy, basic stuff. I was in college. Why not? And then that's when I discovered this whole other industry that I did not know existed. Mind you, I was a biology major pre-med in college, yet I had never heard of clinical research. And then I just moved up from there, and like they say, the rest is history. The thing is, I think there is a little more programs now in colleges, maybe masters, but I still don't think college students know about clinical research, not even, definitely not high school. I don't know college. I see more programs now, but unless you come from a background or somebody in your family told you about it, no one is actually going into that because they don't really understand what it's about. So as you mentioned, if we start educating a younger generation to get into research, then we'll open it up to more people in the industry with different backgrounds and the opportunities to go into different areas. You know, there's so many areas in clinical research you can go into. If you don't want to work with patients, there's data entry. If you don't want to do data entry, there's all these other areas.
Yeah.
And they're great careers to go into that you can make really good money, just people don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think it has a lot to do with the misconception. I mean, for me, I just graduated from college, I think, 3 years ago, and I had multiple opportunities to get into research in college, and my perception of research was what offered in college, not outside in my job. But I understood that was more of lab research, which it wasn't. But because of the lack of, people going out there giving resources to the students, explaining what it is and what exactly it is they'd be doing. I mean, you had tons of students pre-med wanting exposure to subjects, to patients, these kinds of things. And little did they know that the opportunities are right there in front of them. They could have had a whole other career pathway as an option, but they didn't know because there wasn't enough talk about this. And partially that is also another thing I'd like for us to do as an organization, eventually making our way, once COVID calms down, making our way into interviewing students and interviewing professors that actually bring this to the universities, and how they're trying to not only bring students in, but make it more diverse and give these opportunities out and things like that. So just education and resources is really just key for sure.
Yes, I would like to add to this. It's like in like Judy was mentioning, in research, pretty much all the careers that you can think of, we have it in pharmaceutical research. Every single thing. The great thing about it is that pharmaceutical pays better than any other industry, and it's probably more stable. So there are many people out there that are craving to get a career, even though that they have already a bachelor's in their hands, but nobody gives them the opportunity to get this experience. That's kind of why Dan and I and more of our staff, we created the CRC Academy, because we wanted to educate more people and give the opportunity to people to join the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, in only a few months, you can pretty much are pretty much ready to join the industry, because our classes, every single class that we teach, it doesn't have any fillers. Everything is just from A to C, related to pharmaceutical. So that's a way for us to contribute to the industry. However, sometimes it's a bit hard to get to everybody, even though that we want to. And in the past, I went to universities to kind of teach them about it, and I found out that, yeah, like Ashley and Judy were mentioning, hardly one or two students will know something about research, but they all think we just a bunch of nerds that are in a facility just mixing stuff, but they don't really know all the beauty of this industry. And there is much more than just the laboratories and the nerds. I mean, we're different. There are many more things. And really, every single area in every single career out there, we have it in research, in pharmaceutical research. So it will be, I mean, there are so many doctors here in the United States from different countries that they cannot, accredit their career here this is an opportunity for them to work with patients and have their impact that they probably wants to have, but in different area, and don't lose all those years of education and training in just because they don't know about this industry. So that's why it's so important for us to make this bigger and to share it everywhere we can.
Hmm. Somebody else says, I stumbled onto it as well as a patient navigator slash research assistant. So that's probably someone who's pre-screening. Sounds like someone who's pre-screening patients. Found out about it 4 years ago. I wish I had gotten the jump on the CRA before. And then somebody else said, even my family doesn't understand what I do as a clinical researcher. So that's a good point. I mean, even your
Yeah.
family doesn't understand what you do. Mine either. They don't really understand what I
Mine
do.
still, mine still doesn't to this day.
Yeah,
It's okay.
so
I
I
think we're on
think
the same boat.
I think this group is needed. I mean, I think our job is to go out there and kind of give an example to other people who are interested in the industry. I mean, it's going to start from your sphere of influence. Like your only incentive is you're trying to help somebody out. So you're either a friend or a family member. Perfect example. When I'm moving to Arizona to start my clinic, my niece, she's a medical assistant. She knows nothing about research other than what she hears from me, but she's going to be starting as a research assistant. I'm going to be teaching her to be a coordinator. So it starts like small. It starts from the people you know, getting them involved in the research industry. They're going to get others involved. It's like a network effect. The point is to get more patients enrolled in studies because that's going to help us get better drug data, right, from these studies because we need more minorities, we need more African Americans, we need more Hispanics, we need more Asian Americans in research because the patients are of all ethnicities out there. People who take medications are not just Caucasians, it's all ethnicities. So we need that data in research. Somebody else said I started as an MA too, drew blood and did vital signs. That's another thing. I think this MA schools,
That's how I started.
these MA schools, if you think about like the career options that an MA has are very limited until you bring in research. From what I see, I maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's other things they can do, but they pay a lot of money to go to school. It's not a bachelor's degree, and they have ceilings as far as what they can earn until you introduce research. Then they could be a coordinator, they could be a site director. I don't know another industry where you can do that. And that's a highly Hispanic position, the MA, at least from the areas I've seen. There's mostly Hispanics doing that.
Yeah, and I can say something into that. The area I'm in, most of the MAs were Hispanic. Well, I mean, I think 98% of the population is Hispanic. So yeah,
Yeah.
but definitely, I mean, coming from an MA background, I just turned 30 this month, and from where I was as an MA, what I was making, to now has, definitely, increased. And again, I don't feel like I would have gotten to that point if I wouldn't have actually, left the rural area, gone in, networked and searched, found your YouTube, Dan, your book, and done heavy research within like a small time span, and kind of gone the dirty work and make sure that I got a job, right? And so
And that's because you're social. Like you're a highly social person. Imagine for every one of you, there's like 9 others that are not so social, and maybe they would have never networked, right?
yeah, and like coming back to where I'm originally from, it's a high populated, the Rio Grande Valley, it's a high populated Hispanic area, and where they're very low in research sites, which is areas that you want research sites to be in, right? So this is not only opportunities for Latinos to increase, their living situation through finances, but also career opportunity, and even possibly making a dent in their community and coming to a provider that they know, or other coworkers that they know, coming together, creating an organization locally, like a chapter, right? And making sure that change is happening in their area and creating kind of like a tidal wave. And that's what I would like for this organization to be. We're all from different areas. We all know, how the populations are there and how the clinical industry works there, and how much the need of research is. And, these are the things that we need to think about and kind of start bringing this information to the community, because there's opportunity for growth. And if there's opportunity, there should be no reason why we don't try to find a way to get that opportunity to Latinos and all ethnicities, right? Because everybody, this is America, we have the right to move forward and help our families and help our community out. And this is what I'd like for our organization to bring, Sure.
And just to add to that, another way to get into the industry that we want to share with others is by internships or volunteering. I had a psychology student reach out to me about a month ago. Her professor told all their class to try to volunteer, get an internship, anything similar in the industry. She did her research, found her research center, and reached out to me. She sent me her resume, and like the next week I had her come in, and I was like, sure, you can volunteer and I'll teach you. I'm short staffed, so that's why I definitely brought her in, and now I'm literally gonna offer her, sorry about that, I'm gonna offer her a part-time research assistant job, because she's actually catching on really fast, and I think I can see her working out to be here long term if she's interested on staying on. And so I'm willing to put in the time to train her and teach her everything that she needs to know to get her to that point. And if she decides to move on, at least she'll have this foundation to take what she learned and go somewhere else with it and do something else, hopefully in the research industry.
That's a good story. I mean, that just goes to show you, I really think, people, when they do discover research, they think of CRA first, because that's like where the big bucks are, supposedly the big bucks. Eventually, I think it's big bucks and CRA. That's another topic for another podcast. But then they get overwhelmed with all the requirements that those job postings entail. So then they just think that's it. There's nothing left to do in research. Did you know the first thing I did when I got hired at a research clinic, I went to go buy dry ice at the store. I don't need any skills to do that. I got a bachelor's degree in molecular cellular biology, and I'm going to buy dry ice and like giving urine samples to the hospital. Like, people need help. Research sites like Judy's need interns, especially if Judy's out there Googling for services in her area. Like, if you can figure out what it is Judy is Googling, or maybe you have a Judy in your neighborhood, find out what she's Googling, and then figure out how to provide that to her or him, you're in. I mean, maybe Judy won't hire you, but another person will. Just 5 research sites in your area. If you provide value as far as things that they need, you're in as an intern, and then maybe, like in Judy's case, a part-time position. And what a way to get started. And now you have a clear path towards CRA or whatever your goal might be. Just so many are CRA, that's their goal. So that's usually what I'm used to telling people, but it could be anything in research. The doors are wide open.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
So what's left on the agenda? Because
Let's go.
Monica's
Let's go.
got stuff to announce.
Maybe we should take any other suggestions from the audience. I know there's a few comments is there any other comments that anybody wants to actually talk?
Carlos says I can't talk. Carlos said I can't talk, but I want to thank Monica for inviting me. Thank you, Carlos. We don't want you getting in trouble. It's only going on YouTube. And your PI watches. So.
And yeah, he's working really hard in his COVID studies, and he's looking for patients.
That's true. That's true, actually. Any frontline, any worker, any healthcare worker that wants to prevent getting COVID, they're doing a study. Carlos is the coordinator, so just message me. I'm actually the monitor for that study, so message me if you're interested. It's a prophylactic study with vitamins and hydrochloroquine. Message me if you're interested, and you can get in the study. It's completely virtual, completely remote. Everything will be shipped to your home.
That sounds like an interesting study.
Free
I'm going
plug.
to
I'm in. I'd
participate.
be in, but I can't.
I'm,
I can't. I'm the monitor, so I can't,
I'm
but I'd do
in.
it.
I will be doing it. He's sending me the ICF today.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Good, good.
Awesome. I think maybe talking down about how, for those who can't be here today, talking about how they can possibly reach out and ask us questions, even for vendors or sponsors that would like to, get involved and things like that, how they could reach out.
How vendor. So, okay. Wait, can you say that again? Because I was reading this comment about this person from Colombia. This is,
um,
I'll get to you, Carlos. This is another Carlos.
for sure. How to, for those that are not here today that are going to watch this video later, how they can reach out to us, how, ask us questions, issues that they'd like for us to bring up at the next
Oh, yeah.
meeting or podcast, things like that.
So we're all on LinkedIn, all of us, and I mean everybody who's in this group should probably add one another to LinkedIn. But myself, Ashley, Judy, Monica, we're all on LinkedIn. We have a Latinos in Clinical Research group on LinkedIn as well, and then we have an Instagram page also.
Facebook.
Latinos Facebook. Sorry, I that's like the one that I use the least, but it's like the most important one too. Facebook. Um, so yeah, that's where you can connect. We would love to feature different vendors on from time to time, or just different people. Like Jacqueline, I hear a lot of things about you being a CRA. I would love to interview you one day on that, and maybe we can start out with one of these Zoom calls. So just reach out to any of us on LinkedIn. We're very accessible. We love to hear from vendors. If you've got interesting solution you think for education or patient accrual or diversity, all this kind of stuff, just let us know, and we'd be happy to feature you on one of these Zoom calls. As we grow, you'll grow with us too. That's the goal. Let's see the comments.
Yeah, you were going to read the comments.
Carlos from Colombia. I live in Colombia and provide services to the US and European sponsors. Hey, Carlos, how's it going, man? Developing medical devices. Is there any way I can help? Carlos, meet Monica. Okay, she's your fellow Colombian.
So you're Colombian too?
Yes, I am 100% Colombian.
So no, I just wanted to let you know I'm a physician and I've been working on clinical trials for medical devices for the last 8 years maybe. But as a physician, I've been doing research, academic research for maybe 20 years, something like that.
Wow.
So it hasn't.
Other Latino doctors, other Hispanic doctors about this the beauty of being in this industry. I think that could be a good way to start at least collaborating, and then it's also exposure for yourself. So it will be good for everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
We can hear
Carlos,
you.
you're on mute. You're on
We
mute,
can hear
Carlos.
you. Yeah.
Sorry. So it was very interesting what you said earlier, that it was difficult for doctors to get into clinical research, and I still think this is a big problem everywhere. And in Colombia, I tried to get into a pharmaceutical company or into a CRO for years, and I couldn't make it. I had to open my own ones just to get into this industry. So I think, and the other way, I know millions of doctors. It's just an exaggeration, but I know everyone in Colombia, and everyone is trying to get into this industry, and they don't know how. And I think there's yeah, you might know in Colombia the health system is good for patients, but it's not so good for doctors. So everyone is trying to get a different opportunity to work and to do a career, and they are just hopeless because they don't find anything to do. So I would like to to help you, and obviously it's going to be helpful for me too. But I would like to give some other doctors the opportunity to get into this business, into this industry. And there's so many things that we can learn, and we can also teach to people that don't know. And as I said before, I work only on medical devices, and due to this COVID pandemic, people are working ventilators, and I'm learning a lot of things too that we can also teach to people. We're not working only on clinical trials, but we're supporting the companies that are developing the device by itself. So we have to be compliant with like a million regulatory requirements and standards and for so many things. So I think this is a new market, a new industry even for us here in Colombia. And I know that most of the people work on pharmaceuticals, but it's frustrating for me to to see that medical devices don't have a big opportunity in whatever thing everyone is always talking about when they talk about clinical research. So I would like to work with you, talk to you about this, and see what you think, and offer you whatever I can do for you.
Great, thank you. That sounds amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's great because actually what you mentioned, we don't talk about medical devices. I'm not familiar with trials. I haven't worked on any. I don't have that background, but it would be fascinating to know more about it and how we could help, possibly even get involved in a trial on our side if there is anything in our area. I would be interested to know and that we could share with everybody else in the community too.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed about doctors, because I'm always trying to recruit more doctors, is there's a misconception that they're only interested in the money. Because a lot of these doctors I've been talking to lately, they make a lot of money and they don't need my research money that I'm going to pay them like when we're starting a new site. What I've been noticing that they're interested in, and if somebody can create like a course on this, I mean, obviously, this is going to probably have to be United States first. If somebody can create like a course on how to do an investigator initiated trial, everything from getting the funding from the NIH or from the sponsor, getting a grant, writing the protocol, because I'm trying to help them. So that's one of the ways that I have been able to get some of these doctors who are wealthy and don't really care about making extra money with research, but they're passionate about the science and they have ideas about what they want to do. Um, I've been telling them, hey, well, if you do these studies with me, you're going to learn what a protocol is, how to structure everything. You're going to see from the pharmaceuticals how they design their studies and how they execute their studies. So I've been able to get them started in research, but it's not really what they want to do. They want to do their own studies. And there's very little information that I've found on helping doctors create their own studies from funding to everything else. That's a wide open business opportunity, not just for Latinos, but I'm sure in Latin America, there's got to be some similar opportunities there.
Well, now that you mentioned that, Dan, I actually have, I don't know why I didn't think about this, but I actually have a friend, she's my age. She's been working with the NIH during this COVID period, and she's a doctor and specialist, and she's Latina. So I think I'll be reaching out to her to see if we can do an interview, see if we can, bounce back some ideas and things like that. I mean, obviously not necessarily what you just mentioned, but something that can actually
The
help our
beginnings
members
of
out a
it.
little.
Maybe just the
Yeah,
beginnings of it. That would be good. Yeah, have her come on. Have her come on
for
one of
sure,
these Latino Zoom calls.
for sure, for sure.
There's a lot of stuff, guys. A lot of stuff in the space that we can do. Like I feel like we're just getting like on the surface of what the opportunities actually are.
Yeah, and all the more reason why to reach out via email or even just separately to one of our DMs on LinkedIn. Let us know, one of the biggest things that you have difficulty with at your site or wherever it is that you work at, or things that you would like to do moving forward into the research industry, and just so that we can, touch base and see exactly how it is that we can help or things that we can create to help you, as well as other people that are having the same issues. So,
Yep. Yeah, I
yeah.
would love to have your friend on. Judy got a comment. Judy, I was going to from Nancy. Thank you, Nancy. I was
Oh,
going to suggest advertising on Facebook for your area. Facebook has a grant for women business owners for advertising. So, hey,
yeah.
ladies,
Awesome.
go out there and get these grants.
Yeah, so I'm a co-owner. The other owner is my PI, who's a doctor, male. So I don't know if I would qualify for the women business owner, but I'll look into it. But yeah, we do
Just
use
show them
Facebook.
this. Just show them the woman on the shirt. Point to this.
We do use Facebook, and it's kind of hit or miss with different trials that we work on. We focus a lot on psychiatry Sienna studies, so the protocols are a lot more specific. But I think Facebook, out of all the social media accounts, Facebook is the most successful so far in our community. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I didn't know that, so I'm gonna go into it. It seems that we have a group of Colombians here. Somebody
Yeah.
else, Lily.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yes, I'm from Colombia.
Hi,
I
Lily.
live in San Diego.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh,
Awesome.
another Colombian in California. Me too. I'm in California.
All right. So sorry. All right, that moves us on to our next thing. Monica, if you want to discuss the CRC scholarship.
Well, I think it's time to announce our winner. This is because the CRC Academy hit the first year anniversary. We're very happy because we help somehow many people to join this industry. It's been a great journey, and so I think it's time
You
to
guys,
announce. Go
Monica,
ahead.
I gotta give you a lot of props for that. And Raul, you guys have done such a good job with the CRC Academy. We've had nothing but positive feedback. People emailing me from the class saying how good you guys are and how excited they are to get hired. I saw the email today Raul sent out about 3 companies looking for CRCs. The industry is booming, guys. Like,
Yeah.
go out there and get it. But good job, Monica and Raul. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yay.
Thank you. Okay, so the winner is dun, 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 dun. The winner is, and it was actually unanimous decision. One second. Congratulations to Nancy Lockhart.
Yay.
She's here. I know she's here. I saw her
Congrats,
earlier.
Nancy.
Congrats, Nancy.
Okay, congrats.
Yay.
Thank
You know,
you.
you know what did it for me? What did it for me was that extra credit bonus. I got a
Yeah.
tweet. I got a tweet late last night around 10 p.m. as I was getting ready to go to sleep, and I'm like, "What
I'm
is this
sorry.
video?" No, you didn't disrupt me. I'm on Twitter looking at news. Don't worry, Nancy. But I saw your mention. I said, "What is this?" I push play. I'm like, "Okay." I sent it to Monica. I sent it to Ashley. Sent it to Judy. We're all like, "Okay, who else is submitting these things? Let's pick a winner before tomorrow." So congrats, Nancy. Very well deserved.
Awesome.
Good
Thank
job
you
on the
very
contest.
much.
I loved
Thank
your
you.
answer.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I started and it was like 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So I had to cut it down, cut. And I actually didn't say what I intended to say, but I think it was okay. Thank you.
Definitely good.
Well, that brought you here. See, your effort gave you it was not in vain.
Yes.
Now you won a full scholarship. So I'm gonna get in touch with you to get all your information so we can get you registered and start right now.
Yeah, Nancy, you got homework. You got homework already. I'm looking at my watch. It's like you got stuff to submit already. So we'll get you
Right.
in.
I'm excited. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
No, thank you
Yay.
for participating. Thank you everybody for participating too. I mean, all the people that participated, it was amazing. I mean, and this is also part of sharing. Sharing is caring, as we always hear there. So,
And you know what I
thank you.
find? You know what I found out? Because we do the scholarship for the CRA Academy every quarter. But don't ask me about January. We're not announcing anything yet. But and it's hard to win, guys. It's like your chances are not that you're gonna win. But I've noticed that the scholarship winners, like we've had enough now, like to have some data on this. The scholarship winners tend to get, on average, hired a little bit quicker than the other students. So I don't know if
Wow.
that's just like random data that I have, or if I'm noticing a trend. Maybe it's like the extra effort. I don't know. Maybe it's doing that video and posting it on Twitter that's gonna make you apply to like 10 more jobs and get hired. But I've seen that, and I've started to interview some of the students who have done that. So yeah, this good job. Congratulations, Nancy. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you subscribe, latinosinclinicalresearch.com, and you won't miss out on the next Zoom meeting or any other announcements that we have. So
For
thank you,
sure.
everybody. Let's all network on LinkedIn,
Uh,
and let's talk
Excuse me,
about what other
Dan.
topics you would like to hear.
Just
I think
Dan
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Monica. Good evening, everyone. And I had some. I did some questions to Monica. I do appreciate if she could give me a feedback when she could. It's not necessary to do it now, but I'd like to hear what she thinks about the those themes. I asked it directly her.
Yeah, come on,
Thanks.
Oh,
Monica. We need
excellent.
to know.
Thank you. I will. Oh, okay.
You guys
So,
thought it was over. It's just getting started.
what it was sent? Let me see. I'm gonna take a look in my to my LinkedIn. George, it was sent to my LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, I did it directly.
Let me see. Uh,
While we're
I
waiting,
don't. I
I just
don't think I
wanted to
have.
say if anybody ever has questions, there's anything I can answer, feel free to reach out to me, LinkedIn. I'll give you my email, phone number. I can send it to you by message. Feel free. Any
Okay.
questions that maybe things I experience and you need help with, feel free anytime.
Well, Judy,
Same here. Same here.
after your story of hiring people like from Craigslist, everybody's gonna email you now.
George, I can find
Hi.
it. Where did you send it to me? You send it to my
Oh
LinkedIn or?
no, I choose you from the chat, but I can hear all out.
Oh, let
What
me
do you
see
think?
it.
No.
Uh,
Uh,
I don't see it. Let me see.
it's the right
Uh,
at the beginning, but I can hear it. I can read it. I have asked
okay,
you
great.
about about how do you evaluate the practice of risk-based monitoring here in Latin America, and another theme is what have you experienced in the digital approach of the informed consent for applying?
Can you repeat that one again, please?
The first one is about the how do you evaluate the practice of the risk-based monitoring here in Latin America, and the other
Okay.
question is about the how have you ever experienced the digital approach of the informed consent for application?
The first question, I think I'm gonna give it to Dan. Dan is more expert in that area. And the second question, I will answer it.
By the way, Zoom is very smart because I was muted. I don't know if this is random. As soon as you said my name, it told me to unmute myself. I don't know if that's like this kind
Oh,
of weird.
wow.
I don't know if that was on
Wow.
accident or what happened there. Kind of scary. Uh, remote monitoring, or you're talking risk-based monitoring, right?
Mhm.
So risk-based is,
Risk-based.
I don't see risk-based happening anymore. That was more of a thing like 4 years ago. I don't know if that's the new normal or if they stopped doing that, because all the monitoring I'm doing is 100% traditional. So it's 100% source data verification. Risk-based monitoring, you're supposed to like skip certain things. You're not supposed to verify everything. You're just supposed to focus on certain parts of the study. From like the last 3 years I've been contracting, it's been all 100% source data verification. I don't know if there's another CRA here that can tell me the same. I ask CRAs actually when they come to site selection visits, I always ask them, is this a risk-based monitoring study? And they look at me like I'm crazy, like, why are you asking this? So I don't think they're actually using this strategy anymore. I think the analytics have to catch up. I think they're trying to get artificial intelligence involved somehow, just like Zoom told me to unmute myself. But I don't see that being the case right now. I see a lot of remote monitoring because of COVID, but that's still 100% traditional monitoring or
Um,
100% source
I'm
data verification.
I'm quite surprised because I almost seeing it as a trend, but you're told me not.
I hear a lot about it. I hear a lot about it. I read a lot of articles about it, but I don't actually see it and I don't actually do it.
I do have to say, I think at my site, we do have risk-based monitoring for a lot of our studies. I don't know if it's just the specific studies I'm working on or the specific sponsors and therapeutic areas. So it's mostly psychiatry, CNS. But more recently, though, the past couple pre-site visits I had, it sounds like they're trying to move back to 100% source data verification. Like they're trying to get rid of that risk space. Maybe it didn't work before. I don't think it did because to me, I think it gave monitors more of an excuse not to get certain things done. So they would, not come to our site and then they'd be really behind and try to catch up. But I do see that on some of our studies still right now.
I think that actually it also depends on like your CRO or your sponsor. So with my CRO, I believe that we actually do both. So, and it's just more to kind of have a more direct like view and kind of just being able to oversee everything as a whole. So I really just think it depends, on where it is that you're either working or who you're working for, possibly the major CROs and the major sponsors.
Yeah, I work with a very small CRO, so I don't think they have the tools for that. I wouldn't be surprised if the big CROs all have the tools. I just don't know if they've implemented them or rolled them out. And like Judy said, a lot of the newer studies are now just coming back to 100% source data verification. So I think they're fixing the systems somehow, fixing the technology.
But at the same time, wouldn't that kind of go out the door too as we start transitioning to electronic source documents as sites implement it? Because I'm in the process of implementing that at my site right now for all studies. So then that's going to eliminate that whole risk and they can just monitor every single visit remotely and they don't have to worry about actually looking at source docs. I don't know.
Well,
I guess we'll see how it goes next year.
yeah, I think the next thing, once everybody starts switching to eSource, they're going to have ways, like it'll be easier for the algorithms to match up what's in the EDC with what's in the eSource. And so then I think you might have risk-based monitoring.
True.
Yeah, and that actually
That's
also
true.
answers the second question because the ICF electronically is actually pretty much in every single study now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the informed consent. Yep.
See, but that's weird. I don't know what's going on with my studies. I don't see that in my studies. Mine are a little bit more complicated, I guess. Out of all the 10 studies we're working on, one has electronic consent. And they barely pushed it out like a few months ago. And I don't know. It was a little challenging to get used to it, but we got used to it. But everything else is no, not electronic consent.
We kind of have pretty much all the studies, but they give you the option to do it also in paper. So it's kind of your choice. and
nice.
and for us, the patients, because we work with the same patient population, very similar to your studies with mental health. With them, it's more challenging to do it electronically than it's doing it in paper.
Yeah.
So most of the time, that's what we ended up doing in paper.
Yeah.
But we do have both options.
Yeah, I have asked this question because in this new normal, this pandemic scenario, I see some sites getting this approach, getting the informed consent electronically, or even by WhatsApp post. See, and I have that. have not gathered too much. How can I say? Opinions about this, and I even don't know how to do it because there are no regulations here in Brazil to deal directly about this approach. But I know it's a new reality because the pandemic scenario requires the social distancing and even how can I say the telemedicine, some
Telehealth.
tools, some new tools, telehealth. Yeah, it's a new tool that there's coming to Brazil right now, and I think all this thing have how can I say all this remoting tools make part of the same approach, the same scenario.
Yeah.
And I don't know how can the things could improve the clinical trials practice.
It's going to improve with algorithms and machine learning because all that telehealth stuff is doing is it's going to allow for transcripts. And once the transcripts get really good, then the algorithms can just look at the transcript. So now you have a machine looking at a progress note, you have a machine looking at an e-source, and you have a machine looking at the EDC. So now you get the human to go look at the protocol deviations, and you get the human to go look at preventing a deviation maybe or retraining the site. So, but this is like a decade away. I mean, and who knows once COVID is over, let's see next year. I think by summer it's kind of going to be ending. I think telehealth, I mean, sure, some sites are going to keep it. I think the majority of sites are going to go back to how they did it. I do think eSource is going to continue to gain traction and e-regulatory as well. But telehealth, who knows? Who knows? So, I think we're a ways away from the machines taking over, completely taking over. Then we won't need Latinos in research group. We'll need artificial intelligence in research group. That's it. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That was a great first
All
meeting.
good. I just
Great
wanna,
first
I
episode.
want to say something real quick.
Raul, CRC Academy loves you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, how are you? Well, I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, but I just want to express my gratitude for starting this group. Dan, Monica, Judy, and Ashley. I believe this is going to be a very successful group. Just looking the years combined of experience, not just for the co-founders, for every single member that is now and also is going to be in the future. It's going to be amazing the opportunities. Many things that you guys mentioned that will come out from here is discovery new businesses, services, exchanging knowledge. I mean, there's a win-win situation here. So just want to express my gratitude to part of this movement or group, and I wish you always the best and be blessed to be here. So very excited for the next meeting.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you,
Much.
bro. Thank you, everybody.
And
Reach
also,
out on LinkedIn and all
congratulations
that
to
stuff.
Nancy again. Congratulations to Nancy.
Oh, Nancy,
Yes,
congrats.
Nancy.
Nancy, your homework, you got homework that's overdue now. Your homework is overdue. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you all, and we'll do it again, all right? Let's keep in touch on LinkedIn and Instagram or wherever else you'd like to.
It was nice seeing you.
Sure.
Meeting
Thank
you
you
all.
guys.
Thank